Return on time! Hey, it's the DETOUR!
Do you hear that? That's the sound of lunch beginning. It's the lunch drive. We're going on a lunch drive. It's lunch, and we're driving, and we're doing our thing. That's what's happening. Onward, onward. If you could talk to your first grade teacher, would you apologize? I know for a fact that I would. What's funny is I actually ran into my fourth grade teacher years ago when I was working at Family Dollar, and I remember I saw her from a distance, and I thought to myself, oh man, I hope she doesn't recognize me. I hope that, she doesn't have a terrible opinion of me, this, and this. But then again, why should we worry about what people think? Ultimately, what people think of us means nothing. I've seen people that just get completely immobilized by the thought of, oh my God, what if that person doesn't like me? What if that person is this, and this? The most toxic person I know in my life is worried about the way that people think about them, but yet they cause nothing but the most terrible shit towards other people, which then makes them have a terrible opinion of them. It's different things like this that completely blow my mind. But ultimately, yes, I saw my teacher, and I remember she came up, she paid for her stuff, and clearly I have my name tag on, so if she could recognize my eyes, nose, or anything else, because I didn't have a beard back then. I know it's very hard to believe, but I was not born with a beard. I didn't come out of my mother looking like fucking Moses. But I remember seeing her, and I remember asking, do you remember me? And she went, yes, Kyle, I do remember you. And there was a pause, and I remember looking at her and saying, I'm sorry. Because I was never really a bad kid. But if you've seen any videos of me and how crazy I get on camera, well, there's undocumented craziness that's happened my entire life. She really was an awesome teacher. She was great. She made us enjoy everything that we did. I remember she read the first Harry Potter book to us at the end of class every single day. We'd get like an hour or two, and it would always be that moment of, oh my God, please give us another chapter. I had already seen the movie, but I had never read the book, so to have that kind of interaction with it was really awesome. She left a great impression on me. My choir teacher taught me that perfection is impossible, but excellence is something you should always strive for. I remember my art teacher, who is unfortunately no longer with us, he always taught me and pushed me forward to make sure that artistic ways could always be found. Whenever I would be in a rut and I couldn't figure out what to do, he would always bring a new tool to me, or he would say, hey, think outside the box, try this. But ultimately, the best teacher I ever had, and I'm going to call him Mr. M for sake of argument, Mr. M, because he ultimately did not care about anything. What I mean is that this man was not only a teacher that taught like 4 or 5 different subjects. He also was, I want to say he was a deacon at his church. He also was a coach for like 3 different sports. I don't know. I never kept track. Mr. M was one of those guys that he would always slam desks, but he did it to get your attention whenever he was talking, or he would, say certain things out loud, or he would make the class laugh. I remember my brother CJ and I would always be in the same class together with him, and he always called us the Wright brothers, and it was just kind of a funny thing because last name is Wright. Fun fact, I actually am related to the Wright brothers, but it's on my mom's side of the family. Figure that one out. No, there's no incest. There's nothing like that. It's just, there's another sector of Wrights. I really should I gotta move on. But Mr. M, oh man, it was, I can't even believe that this actually happened, but it's something that I have to share with you guys because it is so damn cool. So I had been in Mr. M's class, whether it was study hall or whether or not it was social studies or if it was just sociology or anything else. I had been in his classes many, many times. And eventually I got into a class where we had to do current events every week. I gotta say, current events is how you really could tell who was gonna make it in life and who wasn't. There would always be that one girl that would always talk about kittens or puppies or shelters or things like that, and it was always kind of like, man, could you pick something different? We're kind of tired of hearing about this. Then you would look over at the jock who could only find something about Peyton Manning or fucking Brett Favre or whatever the hell their names are. It'd always be something to the effect of, oh well, he scored a goal this week and that's all they had. That's how every jock at my school talked. They talked like that. More so the guy that I caught snorting an oxy in geology class. That was a thing. But I always tried to give my all whenever it came to that thing. I tried to think to myself, current events. What events are current? What things could I enjoy? What things would Mr. M enjoy? What things could edify everybody? Movies, politics, history, anything that would keep anybody interested. And I worked my ass off on these things all the time. And I always tried to get it. And yes, there were a couple of times that I didn't get it done until right before class, and he was like 3rd period, and I would be freaking out beforehand. And then lo and behold, a friend of mine, who I will refer to as Jeffrey, looked at me and said, bro, why are you trying on these current events? Mr. M doesn't read them at all. Now, this was concerning for a couple of reasons, because one, I wanted to be sure that I was doing my best, and I always wanted to be sure that I had an A in his class, because I couldn't get an A in any other fucking class. But I remember thinking to myself, if this man doesn't read current events, then why are we doing them? Is this just something that he tacks on to look like a good teacher when ultimately he just has so much going on in his life that this is one thing where he's like, you know what? Everybody gets one. As long as you finish a page, you're fine. I was in disbelief, and for a couple of weeks, I still typed out a normal current event. That was until I had had enough, and I decided to see if this was true. Now, to be fair, I don't remember the title of the current event that I turned in, but what I do remember was that I went on to Google, looked up the lyrics for Lips of an Angel by Hinder, copied and pasted it over and over again, made sure that everything looked like different paragraphs in different forms, changed some punctuation here and there, and at one point I actually put inside of this paper, I said, "Are you even reading this?" And lo and behold, I got an A. Lips of an Angel is legendary, not only because it was a great song that I heard growing up, but it also helped me get an A in sociology. Or was it social studies? Or history? What class did we do current events in? Then again, I don't know why I was shocked to find this out, because this was the same teacher that any time that we had an exam, he would give us all the answers before school. If you showed up at 6:30, you could go to his class and he would give you all the multiple choice. It was half the questions that were on the exam. If you got half of them right, that meant that you passed the exam. Nobody ever failed Mr. M's class, and if you did, you had to try to fail. We never did anything in Mr. M's class, now that I think about it.